In the heart of a besieged city, where daily life was a desperate gamble against death, a marketplace offered a fleeting illusion of normalcy. On a cold February afternoon, as vendors hawked their meager wares and citizens braved sniper fire for a loaf of bread, a single mortar shell ripped through the air, transforming a vibrant scene into a tableau of unimaginable horror. This was the Markale Market, and on February 5, 1994, it became a symbol of the brutal indifference of war, a moment etched in the collective memory of a nation under siege. The echoes of that blast, and another that followed 18 months later, would not only define the suffering of Sarajevo, but also irrevocably alter the course of the Bosnian War. Join us as we delve into the tragic events of the Markale Market Massacres, exploring the human cost, the international response, and the enduring legacy of these pivotal moments. Before we continue with this harrowing story, please remember to comment, like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes of the Calendar of Crime. Your support helps us bring these important stories to light.
Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia and Herzegovina, was a city under siege for 1,425 days.
From April 1992 to February 1996, it was the longest siege of a capital city in modern history. Throughout these years, the city's inhabitants endured constant shelling and sniper fire from the surrounding hills, held by the Army of Republika Srpska. Life was a daily struggle for survival, with basic necessities like food, water, and electricity becoming precious commodities. Yet, amidst this relentless terror, pockets of resilience and defiance emerged. The Markale Market, a bustling open-air marketplace in the city center, was one such place. It was a vital hub where people could exchange goods, find scarce provisions, and, for a brief moment, experience a semblance of community, a fragile thread of normal life in an otherwise abnormal existence. February 5, 1994, dawned as a relatively clear and cold day. Despite the ongoing siege, the market was unusually crowded. People, perhaps lulled by a temporary lull in the fighting, or driven by sheer desperation, had ventured out in larger numbers than usual. They gathered around stalls laden with what little produce or goods could be found, their breath misting in the crisp air as they haggled and conversed. Children, too, were present, their innocence a stark contrast to the grim reality of their surroundings. The atmosphere, though tense, held a fragile hope, a collective yearning for a moment of peace. Then, at approximately 12:10 p.m., the world shattered. A single 120mm mortar shell, fired from the hills overlooking the city, arced through the sky and landed squarely in the center of the crowded market. The explosion was deafening, tearing through flesh and bone, sending shrapnel and debris flying in every direction. The vibrant scene instantly transformed into a grotesque landscape of death and destruction. Bodies lay strewn amidst overturned stalls, blood stained the snow-covered ground, and the air filled with the screams of the wounded and the dying. The smell of gunpowder mixed with the metallic tang of blood, creating an unforgettable stench of horror. Eyewitness accounts from that day paint a vivid and horrifying picture. Survivors spoke of the sudden, inexplicable silence that followed the blast, quickly replaced by a cacophony of cries and moans. Rescuers, both civilian and UN personnel, rushed into the carnage, their faces etched with shock and grief. They worked frantically to pull the injured from the rubble, using anything available from blankets to makeshift stretchers, to transport them to overwhelmed hospitals. The images captured by photojournalists and cameramen, though graphic, barely conveyed the full extent of the devastation. They showed blood-soaked cobblestones, scattered personal belongings, and the vacant stares of those who had witnessed unspeakable horrors. The sheer number of casualties, 68 dead and over 144 wounded, overwhelmed the city's already strained medical facilities. The immediate aftermath was a maelstrom of confusion and accusations. Bosnian Serb authorities vehemently denied responsibility, claiming the Bosnian army had shelled its own people to provoke international intervention. This narrative, often referred to as the false flag operation, was a consistent feature of their propaganda throughout the war. However, investigations by the United Nations Protection Force, Upper 4, and later the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia, ICTY, meticulously pieced together the evidence. While initial UPRO-4 reports were inconclusive, a more thorough analysis, correcting earlier calculation errors, ultimately pointed to Serb-held positions as the origin of the fatal shell. The ICTI, in its judgment against Stanislav Galić, the commander of the Sarajevo Romanija Corps, definitively concluded that the massacre was committed by Serb forces. This finding underscored the deliberate targeting of civilians, a war crime of immense gravity. 18 months later, on August 28, 1995, tragedy struck the Markale Market again. This time, 5 mortar shells rained down on the area, causing further devastation. Although the casualty count was lower than the first attack, 43 dead and 75 wounded, the psychological impact on the already traumatized population was profound. This second attack occurred at a particularly sensitive time, just hours after Bosnian Serb authorities had tentatively expressed willingness to accept a peace plan proposed by Richard Holbrooke. The timing raised questions, with some suggesting it was a desperate act to derail peace efforts or to provoke a stronger international response. The immediate consequence of the second Markale Market Massacre was the launch of Operation Deliberate Force by NATO. This sustained bombing campaign targeted Bosnian Serb military positions, including artillery, ammunition depots, and communication centers. The intervention marked a significant shift in the international approach to the conflict, moving from peacekeeping to active enforcement. The airstrikes, combined with a Bosnian army offensive, severely weakened the Bosnian Serb military and ultimately forced them to the negotiating table. This led to the Dayton Peace Accords in November 1995, which formally ended the Bosnian War. The Markale Market Massacres, therefore, stand not only as horrific examples of wartime atrocities, but also as catalysts for international intervention and the eventual resolution of the conflict. The legacy of the Markale Market Massacres continues to resonate in Bosnia and Herzegovina. The sites of the explosions are now marked by Sarajevo roses, concrete scars filled with red resin, commemorating the victims. These memorials serve as a constant reminder of the fragility of peace and the devastating consequences of ethnic hatred. The trials at the ICTY, which convicted key figures like Stanislav Galić, Dragomir Milicevic, Radovan Karadzic, and Ratko Mladic for their roles in the Siege of Sarajevo and the Markale Massacres, represent a crucial step towards justice and accountability. While justice can never fully heal the wounds of such atrocities, it offers a measure of closure and a deterrent against future crimes. The Markale Market Massacres remain a poignant chapter in the history of the Bosnian War, a testament to the suffering endured by civilians and a stark warning against the horrors of conflict. Thanks for watching. Please comment, share, like, and subscribe for future episodes from the Calendar of Crime.